People don't believe it. They say, obviously, I'm lying. My dose is much higher. I'm clearly on growth hormone, trans, SARMs, something other than just testosterone. And based on all the blood work that you've seen from me, what is your final verdict? Coach Greg, and I'm here with Len, who's a wellness specialist from Transcend. He goes over your blood work. He's going to be the person that you talk to in going over blood work, make sure that things are going good and whatnot. And he's going to be reading my blood work. And so thanks for being with me today.
Yeah, thank you, Greg. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to go over it with you.
And so the first question after looking at my blood work that the people want to know is, am I in fact a fake natty? I've told people I'm on 140 milligrams of test a week. People don't believe it. They say, obviously, I'm lying. My dose is much higher. I'm clearly on growth hormone, trans, SARMs, something other than just testosterone. And based on all the blood work that you've seen from me, what is your final verdict?
Based on your blood work, there's a few key factors that we look at, especially if when it comes to testosterone and possible steroid use. Number one is in the metabolic panel, we look at kidney function and liver function. And your liver function, which is at the very bottom of the metabolic panel, that AST and ALT are in normal range. If you look all the way to the very end, 0 to 40 and 0 to 44 are considered normal. Okay. So you have normal activity and really no inflammation in your liver function whatsoever. If you were on something like oral androgens like Anavar or Debol or, God forbid, Trent, these would be off the roof. These would be, in the hundreds to 200s to even 500s, depending on how crazy the dose was. So that indicator alone is like, okay, unless you're on some sort of liver supplement that I've never heard of, you're definitely not on any type of oral androgen. Also, another big key is in your lipid panel, your total cholesterol, your HDL cholesterol, which is your good, healthy fats in the body, is very healthy. Your HDL is at 59.
And so typically when you're on like a very high dose of testosterone or you're taking tren, your good cholesterol, it goes in the tank. Because I know this because mine used to be like that. When I was doing steroids years ago, I used to abuse them. I was on very high doses. My cholesterol was really bad, AST, ASL, whatever the numbers, very, very high. And so it was clearly not healthy. But since that time, I've only been on HRT for about 5 years now.
And that's really what we see, because, if your HDL is, 15 to 20, which is very low, you'd be at a higher risk for things like a heart attack or a stroke. So, and you're at 59. So you're in the clear there. You're very healthy. And things that you can do to keep those maintained are, eating healthy fats and doing cardio, which I know you do a lot of that. Now, your total testosterone is at 566. So if you were on steroids, I'd be like, well, you're not really taking some good stuff then, because you're in the middle normal range right now.
And so I wanted to know, could my testosterone levels actually go up if I up my dose? And so what I did was I took blood work again to make sure that it was at its highest point. So I took the blood work 2 days after I had done a shot to see that it was at its peak, and it came back at 750. And so what we concluded is I'm somewhere between 565 and 750, depending on the day of the week. And so based on what you're seeing, can I bump up my testosterone? Would that be safe based on the cholesterol, the liver, the levels that I'm at? Is it safe for me to increase my dose of HRT to something a little bit higher and really try to optimize my health?
Yeah. And, also looking at your free testosterone being at 12, there's some room for improvement still. And you were doing, 120 milligrams?
140.
140. The doctor approved that you can bump that up to 200. Now, doesn't necessarily mean that you have to go all the way up to that. But we do see a clinical observation that based on the assessment, you could go up and still benefit from it to get to an optimal range, which optimally total test is anywhere between 700 and 1,000, depending on the person. And free test is anywhere between 20 to 30.
Okay, so if I went on a dose, let's argue, and let's just call it 200, and my testosterone levels went up to 1,200 nanograms per deciliter, would it be safe to stay at that point, or would that be kind of like, no, you'd want me to lower the dose because there's a reason that that's not good for me?
It would depend on a few things. We would like to see where your estrogen levels are at as well, the estradiol, because if those come back a lot higher as well, you'd be more susceptible to high estrogen symptoms like gynecomastia and feeling very moody. So more than likely, if you're feeling any certain type of symptoms or symptomatic in any way, we would want to bring the dose down. And even if you're not symptomatic, if your estrogen gets close to 100, which normal range is, if you're at 1,000, your estrogen should be at like 50. If it's any higher than that, you're more likely going to have some type of symptoms like nipple sensitivity or water retention or feeling very moody.
And so is that a good test? Like, sorry to interrupt. Is that a good test to see if your testosterone levels are too high? If you need something else, I call it polypharmacy. If I take testosterone and I need a Arimidex to counteract the effects, is that basically the breaking point of when it's good? I always tell people less is more, the lowest dose that makes you happy. But obviously I want more muscle. Like, who wouldn't want more muscle? And so if I'm perfectly healthy and I can get my levels up to 1,000, then why not? But if you're saying that estrogen could go up and then maybe I need Arimidex, then that's, to me, the point that it's too much. Like, would you agree with that? Or maybe that's not really on point?
I do agree with that. Especially, for those who don't need it, because some people, they want to get in front of it and they want to take those AIs before they even have any symptoms whatsoever, which those are meant for if you have symptoms, right? To help mitigate that. And then once we mitigate it, we come off of it. And usually the best way to help with those symptoms is lowering your dose. So whether it's acne, for example, a lot of people get acne on their body. Usually I'll tell them, well, let's lower the dose from 0.5 to 0.4 twice a week and let's see what happens. Usually 3 weeks later, they're like, oh yeah, it started going away.
And so is Arimidex or these other drugs taken, are they in fact dangerous? And I think I know why people are doing it. People want to be shredded. They want a six pack. And when you take testosterone, I find you hold a bit of water weight. Like you gain, like Alex Eubank, he gained 12 pounds in 5 weeks. Some of it's got to be water in there. And so you get bigger. And then you're like, if I take Arimidex, I'll dry out my estrogen and I'll hold less water and I'll be more shredded. People want to have that single digit body fat look. And so is that dangerous to do that, to add in Arimidex to try to look leaner?
Yes. If you're taking Arimidex for aesthetic purposes, you're taking it for the wrong reasons. And it's not a clinical indication for us to prescribe it for you at that point. So we have to have proper blood work to indicate that you're at extreme levels and symptoms that would indicate that those levels are causing the issue. Now, if you have minor symptoms, then we can prescribe maybe less strong AIs because there are strengths. Anastrozole is considered very strong, whereas exemestane or tamoxifen are considered less strong, so they cause less symptoms. So we could prescribe something on the lower end to help mitigate the symptoms, and then we recommend, hey, when you're not symptomatic, just leave it in your medicine cabinet. You don't have to take it that week if you're not symptomatic.
And so one thing we noticed on my blood work was that my PSA was elevated. PSA is something to do. Well, I'll let you explain it.
Yeah, PSA is a test that indicates how your prostate is producing in the body. Typically, if you have an enlarged prostate or a history of prostate cancer or family history of prostate cancer, you could be more susceptible to having this be a little bit higher. Also, any type of steroid use or previous steroid use can cause an elevation of this as well. And I know you're a bike rider. There can be some inflammation from that too. But a lot of that has to do with elevated PSA. So we check this because if you're at elevated PSA, we need to get that rechecked to make sure that the testosterone isn't the reason why that's causing that. Because if someone's on testosterone and has prostate cancer, we would want to come off of the testosterone until the cancer is taken care of.
And so what I like with Transcend is they didn't just say, oh yeah, you want to go on a higher dose of testosterone, your testosterone levels are normal. Here it is, 200 milligrams, go for it. They said, no, you need to get another set of blood work done to make sure that you're healthy. And my PSA then went down, and then they were able to prescribe it. And so that's how you know they have integrity. They're not just going to prescribe you something without monitoring your health and making sure that it's safer to use that, because a lot of people are out there taking testosterone. They might not even be getting it from a doctor. They're doing so at their own risk, and you never know what could be happening. Maybe you have an elevated PSA like I did, and then you're taking testosterone, and lo and behold, you end up with cancer. And so who would want that? And so please, if you are going to do testosterone, get your blood work done, and you can get it from Transcend. And if you need HRT, you need peptides, obviously you can get it through them. And so you want to have a qualified doctor looking at you and ensuring your safety.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. That's why I love this company, is because we're going to do what's best for you, and work with you to make sure that your goals are being kept. So that's great to know. Another part of your blood work that is really important that we check is inflammation markers, which inflammation, I always say, is a silent killer, because it's not often tested in blood work when you go to your doctor. Not many people know that there is actually a test that checks for these things. But C-reactive protein cardiac, your inflammation was at under 0.15. You're under what the score can even register, which is phenomenal. That's, optimal inflammation in the body. So what that tells me is that your body is healing very well, and there's no signs of risks of heart attack or stroke.
And so I think what's important to explain to people is I abused steroids for 10 years, clearly wasn't good, probably took years off my life, but I did continue to eat healthy, and I did do a shit ton of cardio. I'm literally racing bikes for an hour a day on average. I'm riding about 6 or 7 hours a week. And so I'm doing everything else to try to be healthy.
Yeah. And it definitely shows, because C-reactive protein it'll be a score over the last 6 to 10 months of how you've been doing. And if you had anything internal going on, like if you were sick or injured or had something going on, this would be the first indicator that would show, hey, there's something going on. We need to either update your lifestyle choices or possibly do peptides to help heal you quicker, like BPC.
HRT can and is healthy if you need it. Remember, I'm prescribed HRT from my doctor. I need it. My body was used to getting testosterone exogenously, and so my body stopped making it. I had below 50 nanograms per deciliter on 2 separate tests. I wasn't making any testosterone. And so I'm on doctor prescribed doses, and I've been doing this for 5 years, and I've got the blood work to prove it. And I am, in fact, healthy, at least right now. And so when I'm going to up my testosterone dose, it's because it's safe for me. Not everyone can actually do this.
Absolutely. Yeah. You definitely want to work with professionals to make sure that you're being safe. And there was another marker on the blood work that I think is important as well. It's the IGF-1. IGF-1 is what helps. It's the most anabolic thing in the body, and it's produced through our brain, our pituitary gland specifically, and it's what turns into growth hormone in our body. And a lot of people who compete take things like growth hormone. It's very popular on those side of things, but growth hormone actually has a lot of anti-aging and longevity benefits. Okay. And one thing that we look at is making sure that this is at least in the normal range, if not at the top of the normal range, to get the best results. Currently, you're at 148, which normal ranges go up to 260. Okay.
So only half.
About half. Mm-hmm. You weren't low, so you're in the middle of normal, right? Optimally, we see room for improvement, but also it doesn't look like you're on anything like growth hormone or anything like that. So we would recommend peptide therapy for this, because it's not exogenous. It's not something that's going to cause your body to stop producing IGF-1, but we have things that can naturally help stimulate more of what you already naturally create. So things like IGF-LR3 and testosterone, which are things that, would help you get those two optimal ranges without having to be on it for life.
Okay. And so I think it's important for people to understand that Transcend can prescribe not only testosterone, but also peptides, various kinds to optimize your health. Remember, you could be healthy, but are you as healthy as you could be? And I'm at 49 years of age and I want to maximize everything. And so I'll have a separate video talking about all the peptides and things I'm going to be taking. For example, BPC 157. These things are absolutely amazing for recovery. People talk about the Wolverine stack. And so please go and check out my other videos to find out more about what I am and will be taking.
Yeah, those are the major parts of the blood work that I wanted to go over with you. I didn't know if you had any other questions that we wanted to go over, but those were the main points.
No, this is great. I think people can watch this and then they'll see on my other videos everything that's going on. And so, yeah, thank you so much for your help. It's been great working with you. I highly recommend Transcend to everybody.
Thanks a lot, Greg.
And so if you're interested in Transcend, you can click the link in the description, go to Transcend on Instagram, go to their website. And until next time, I am out.